Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be looking at a very different topic, that is how to add a pan gesture to your transition. So basically I'm on this view controller where if you just drag, right, so you can interact with the image. Right. So it's a little slow here because it's in the simulator, but in the phone it will be working fine. So if you can see, I can enable some interaction, right? So this is what we're going to add in our view controller today. Now, if you remember last time we were working on how to, put the image back to that cell's position. So we're going to continue from there. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about and have no clue about it, so do look at my previous tutorials. So let's get started right away. Let's stop that. And let's start with the first thing, that is adding the pan gesture, because obviously to achieve this interaction we need some gesture, right? Now I'm going to add this gesture to the view so that wherever the user touches it will get interacted, right? So if you right click on the view, you'll get gesture recognizer. Just drag and drop it there. That's it, it gets connected. Okay. Oh, what did I just do? Yeah, that's it. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to test whether this pan gesture is working or not. Okay, I'm going to close all that, little bit of free space, and yeah. So just press on control and drag from here till here and change this to action and add in, let's say, pan gesture, right? And use UI pan gesture and click on connect, right? So just to test it out, we are going to use some statement, let's say band. Now we're going to run this and let's see if this is working or not. Okay. Now yeah, so when I pan this, you can see that it's printing it. Okay. So oh, right, so that's it. Now this is working. Let's go to the next step, that is adding some contents here. And before we add a content or something to work on, I'm going to introduce you to a class which is known as UI Person Driven Interactive Transition, right? So this is going to help us understand how much of the transition is done. So it will help us to get a better knowledge of it, right? So we are going to create a class of that, and we are going to add in a few contents there, just to know, where our interaction is going, right? So let's do that. Let's click on the gallery and let's click on new file, and let's click on the switch file, and let's say this is the interactor. Okay. Now we don't need the foundation here, so I think UI kit will be more important. But yeah, so let's create the class now. Let's name this to be Interactor, as how I have named, oh, or Interactor or Interaction, either way. And the super class to be the UI person that I just mentioned to you about. If you have a look, it says an object that drives an interactive animation between one view controller to another, and that is what we require. Okay. Now we are going to initialize two variables here, which we will be requiring later on. That is where has started. We will keep this to be false, because no animation has started yet. And next, where um, should finish. Okay, and this is also false. So these two variables are basically to know whether the animation has started or ended. Okay, that's it. Now next thing that we have to look is we need to add in this interactor to the detailed view controller, because there the main interaction is going to take place. If you remember, we made a function here, right? So if the pan gesture starts, right, now we need the interaction here so that we can understand the amount of percentage of transition um, that is going on, right? So let's do that. Let's add in few things that are important here. First is we need to get the location, the y-axis of the transition that's happening, right? So basically, I think I better type it out rather than explaining. Translation. Let's say translation is a variable, and here we are going to save in the translation along the y-axis. Okay. So like sender dot translation. So basically this sender is of the pan gesture. So this is the one that's going to return us how much or where it's translating, right? Where the user is translating the mouse or the fingertips, anything, right? Now the next thing is yeah. So basically, if you want to have a look, you can click on it and just read through, just to understand what this does. The translation of a pan gesture in the coordinate system, right? So you understand. So through this, in short, we can get the x and y coordinates, right? Now, in which view? So basically, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to use the view that's there for sender. Obviously, the sender's view is the view of this detail view controller, but just to be on the safe side, I am using the sender's view. Okay. Now, the next thing is this, or okay, you can see there. I think better say let, because I don't think I'm going to change later on. Right. So now the next thing that comes is percentage. So basically here we are just getting the translation location, right? But we need to check how much of the percentage is actually, dragged. So if the user just drags little and leaves it, basically that is of no use, right? It needs that detailed screen back again. But if the person is just dragging all the way down, then it means that this has to go all the way to the cell's location, right? If you have a look here, oh yeah, this is not working. It's the login one. So if you have a look here, when I do little, so it's a little slow, so when I do little, it knows that this is not a complete, yeah, if you have a look here, this is not a complete transition. I mean, this is not a complete translation. So little translation means it's not complete translation. Okay, so if it's a full translation, then it is regarded as a full transition and it completes the transition. Okay, so now the next thing we need to get is the percent. How much is being dragged, as I explained just now. So in order to get that, what I have come up with is this. We can get the translation. We have the y and the x axis, right? So we can get the coordinates. So basically you can work accordingly as to how you want the gesture to be completed. But for me, I thought the vertical way is a little easier and it looks a little better as well. So that's why I'm translating along the y-axis. Now, after that, once I get the location along the y-axis, I'm going to divide it by the bounds of that view, right? So how am I going to do that? So I'm going to use the same view, that is sender.view, and I'm going to get the bounds and then the height, right? So basically after getting the height, oh, so after getting the height, um, why is it not letting me complete my sentence? Alright, so after getting the height, what we are going to do is that in this way we are getting the percentage, right? So let me bookmark it, and you'll gradually see what I'm talking about. Now the next thing is that after getting the percentage, right, how much of the translation is being done. So you can reduce the, out of how much you want it to be. So maybe I have taken the whole height, but maybe you can just take halfway of the height or 1/3 of the height. It depends on you, okay? And then after that, if the translation, is out of along the y-axis is out of that particular height, and if it's like full percentage or if it's above a particular threshold, then you can regard it to be a complete transition. Okay, now I hope you guys got that. Let's move forward and let's see accordingly um, how things are working. Okay, so I have started a switch case here. Now why this? Because this sender dot state, that is the states of this gesture, has different states. So I'm just using the case condition here. So for example, if I use the sender dot state, right? So in sender dot state you have dot began. So there are different states. We're going to use few states here. Now in dot began, what it actually says is this. It's saying that the translation has started. Now you better start with the transition. So now once the translation has started, what actions do you want me to perform? That's what it's asking here. Now what we're going to do is that in Interactor, if you remember, we have set in two variables, right? So why don't we, oh, I don't have the Interactor variable here. Let's do that now. Where Interactor. Now I'm just going to assign, I'm not going to create an object of it, okay? Not just yet. I am going to create it in the view controller, not here, okay? Just to indicate the start of the interaction, right? That is done later on, not here. So here I'll be just working with its variables. That's it, okay? So now Interactor dot has started. Now this is true, right? Because it has started, right? And now we can start with the dismiss part. So once this is true, we're going to dismiss the whole thing. So just like how we are doing here, right? So we are going to start with the procedure of dismissing. Yeah, this is true, and for now we're going to keep it now, just the same like this, okay? Now next thing that we are going to do is we are going to add in another state that is known as changed. So oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? So what we're going to do here is this. Changed is saying that the translation is changing now. It has not really started, but it's changing its coordinates. And what do you want me to do, right? So we are going to check. So I have the Interactor again, and we're going to assign this to be true only and only when the percentage is high enough. So for example, if my percentage is above a threshold of 0.3, right? So if it's above this, then only I'll assign this should finish to be equal to true, right? So it is about to finish. It should finish, okay? But if it's less than that, then I'll make it to be false. So it shouldn't finish and it should go back to the detailed view controller, right? Now, the next thing that we need to have a look is Interactor.update. So this basically is going to just update the completion percentage of the transition. So how much percentage is being transitioned, right? So I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is the translation, right? If I'm dragging it vertically, that's the translation, but the transition update is when I do this, okay, it is updating, right? Can you see this? The transition is getting updated, nothing related with translation, right? So if the translation is above a particular percentage, it's going to transition, right? So that is what it means. I hope you guys understood that. Now, next case is cancelled. So, for example, if a transition is cancelled, if a translation is cancelled, then what are we going to do with it? So, I don't think there's much to do, but if it is cancelled, then has started is false. Okay, and obviously we are going to set Interactor to be cancelled, right? That's it. And next case is ended. So finally, when you know the translation is done and when it's ended, what do you want me to do? That is what it's asking. Now in dot ended, what we're going to do is we're going to do a few things. First of all, we're going to set Interactor dot has started to be equal to false because it's done. The starting bar is long back done. Okay. Now we're going to check if should finish. Now if you remember, should finish is set here, right? So let me just copy that then. Now if it is finished, if it should finish, right? If it's above the particular percentage that's given, if it's above the particular threshold, then what are we going to do? Okay. Now, oh yeah, colon. Now if it should finish, then we are going to declare that this interactor is done. Okay, it's over, just like finish, right? So if you have a look, notifies the system that a user interaction signaled the completion of the transition. So again, this is going to denote that the transition is over, right? And next is else. Now in else condition, if should finish is false, then it means that the transition is not going to get completed. What do you want me to do? Now we're going to put Interactor to be cancelled. That's it. We're going to cancel the interaction and we're going to go back to the beginning again. Okay? I hope you guys understood. Now last state is just break free from here if none of the conditions satisfies. Now what? Oh, yeah, that was the bracket that was missing. Now we are done with DetailViewcontroller and we're done with creating the interactor. Now the last, actually the most important thing is the is going to the gallery and creating this object, because if we don't create this object in the first place, it's not gonna start anything. So we're going to go to the view controller and we're going to create an object here. Like how we created for the rest of the transition, just create for this interactor as well, okay? Oh, I am again declaring a type here. So we're going to create an object, okay? Now once this is done, the next thing is that we need to assign this object to the DetailViewcontroller interactor, okay? So vc.interactor equal to this interactor that we just created. So it has an object now. Now last and most important thing is func interactor. So here there's interaction controller for dismissal, right? There's interaction controller for presentation as well, but since we are going to animate the dismissing part, like since we're going to add the pan gesture on the interaction on the dismissing part, we're just going to use the dismissing function now, and we're going to simply return the interactor. Okay, now let's have a look as to how it's working. So you can click on it. Oh, okay, that was not the app. Yeah. So I did this. I think this is from somewhere else. Right. Yeah, now it's the percent, right? So as I mentioned before, here it's saying 0.0004. So basically the percentage is much more low than 0.3, right? Okay. It's really hard sometimes. So now it's showing 0.29, right? So let's say 0.29, maybe it might have increased a little, I have no idea. So yeah, so I think it's better to see here itself, right? So yeah, okay, so if you have a look, this is working. I totally forgot one point. So this is working no matter how it is, like even if it's like even if the threshold, if even if this percentage is like, you know, lesser than the threshold, it's still working, right? Why? So the main reason is this. If you go here, custom dismiss, we are setting the transition completion condition to be true no matter what. Now this is where the problem is, okay? So we are going to add this in the beginning, and we are going to say that if the transition context dot cancelled, yeah, transition was cancelled. So if the transition was cancelled, then don't do anything. But if the transition is not cancelled, then only complete the transition, right? Now, if we do this, then let's see what are the problems that are coming. You'll see some weird effect most probably. So if, yeah, crashed, yeah, crashed. So obviously, we need to handle this situation. If we go to dismiss, we just mentioned what to do when it is cancelled. I mean, when it's not cancelled. But what if it's cancelled? What are we going to do then? So we're going to do a few things here. Cell is hidden. If the transition is complete it, then we're going to hide the cell. Okay, so let's copy that here. But what if it's not completed? Then we're going to add in the detail view controller. Let's see if we add it in here. Add subview from view controller.view. If we do this, let's see what happens. Okay. So when I do little, okay, so I think it's working. Let's work along with that, with this breakpoint. So I did a very small transition. Hopefully the percent is small. So you can see here it's 0.087, still 0.087. So it still remains here, right? So if we do without breakpoint, it looks okay, right? Okay, so you can play around with this, and I hope you guys understood this lecture and found it really useful. I have tried to cover as many things as possible here, but if you guys have any questions, any doubts, please do ask me in the comment section below. Do give it a like so that I'll be encouraged to do these videos all the more, and do subscribe to my channel so that you guys don't miss out any of the tutorials that I post. And thank you for watching this tutorial. Hope to see you soon. Bye bye.